That's Caitlin Bortherms. She's a civil engineer. She's back in Phoenix, Arizona. She completed her master's degree in May on empathy and engineering. How does design relate to the way that people feel? And that's a great introduction that she did. It was because she entered us into this competition that we're now finalists in the competition. The company, BISTEG, I founded 2 years ago to take on a problem that a few people care quite a bit about, but nobody has good solutions for. And it's larger than Caitlin and I. It also includes my son Payson, who's in the front row, and Margaret Hendricks, who just finished her doctorate in organizational communication at Arizona State. The problem is net zero buildings. The idea here is that we want the buildings to generate just as much energy as they consume, and that's a good first step towards carbon neutrality. But the difficulty with that design is that buildings don't have the technological suite of options available to them to generate the power that they currently use. So to do net zero right now looks something like this. This is the first net zero public school in the United States. It's in Staten Island in New York City. And to get to net zero, you got to cover what looks like a bomb shelter with a massive photovoltaic canopy. And that's just to capture enough sun to generate electricity to use inside the building. But even the canopy isn't enough. When you go around behind the building, you find that there's more photovoltaic panels. These are stacked vertically now. And because the photovoltaics only come in certain shapes and only come in certain colors, the architects don't have the kind of aesthetic options that they'd like to have to allow them to put photovoltaics on the face of the building. They either have to put them on the roof or hide them in the back. We call that solar ugly. So when we became a finalist, we started looking around at buildings in Adelaide, and one of the first things that we found was the mall's balls. We said, well, here's a city that's got some guts, you know, they can do some public art, they're not afraid to do something a little bit different. But in the Rundle Mall, outside or around the mall's walls, we see no solar. So there's these big facades and just blank brick or masonry cement walls on which the sun is shining, and the building actually has to use additional electricity to cool the load that shines on the building's face. What we want to do is we want to take that heat, not the light, but the heat that the sun is shining on the building, and we want to create a bunch of different aesthetic options. So we can use, there are now 8 primary colors that we have, and we can mix them up to give the architects a new way to imagine what the building is going to look like. So we started to imagine that, and we saw it something like this. So let me tell you a little bit more about thermoelectric generation. This is the technology that we're using to capture the heat of the sun rather than the light of the sun. This is a report from the US Department of Energy, and they're assessing the technology, which I think is great. I think it's going to be a big market. This is another private market report that says in about 10 years, it's worth $1 billion. That's not our market, because billion-dollar markets come with billion-dollar competition. And we can't compete with the enormous companies like Siemens or like General Electric. We're looking for the niche market, the small market that we can dominate. And we believe Peter Thiel, who says that all clean technologies have started as fashion statements. So where could we find examples of this fashion statement approach to teaching people about the clean technologies? And the answer is still in the Rundle Mall. This is the Rundle Lantern, which is powered by LEDs, and it's lit by LEDs and powered by photovoltaic panels that are on the roof. And it's a way of getting people talking about clean technologies and renewable energy, especially the way that they're integrated into buildings. And it turns out it's not that unusual. There's a long history in the Industrial Revolution. If the internet is to be believed, this is the debut of the television by the Radio Corporation of America in 1939. And the people who came through the World's Fair to see the television said, why would I need a TV? There's no such thing as a TV station. By 1950, of course, everybody needed a TV. This is the same approach that we want to take for the thermoelectric generation. The Rundle Lantern has its numbers about zero carbon emissions. We also have a zero carbon emission electricity source that we want to build right into the buildings. And it's not economical right now. This is why we have to start as a fashion statement. This is why it's a beautification upgrade. It's about as economical as solar photovoltaic was 10 years ago. We want to be ready to dominate a larger market when that larger market is ready. I wanted to let you know that we've addressed the review criteria, although in our written proposal, this is for the judges, we didn't call it out explicitly. We just filed our first patent while we're here on Tuesday of this week. Our first provisional patent application was filed in the United States. So we want to let you know that we're covering the innovation end, and we've been walking around Adelaide looking for good candidates on which we could place the technology. It turns out there's no shortage. Yesterday and today, we met with Michael Haggerty at GHD Woodhead. It turns out that this architectural firm here in Adelaide also cares about net zero buildings. And they gave us this book with their conceptual drawings. We want to work with them to create a local trial of the thermoelectric generation technology that might go right here on the North Terrace. That's what we would do with the award. Thank you very much.